Hans and Scotty. Kurt Helin joining us now, NBC Sports and ProBasketballTalk.com. Kurt, how are you?
Hey, Kurt.
I'm doing well, guys. It's good to talk to you. I am back from Portland and the Nike Hoop Summit, and then I'm ready for some playoff hoops.
Oh, baby. Before we get to that, we've got play-in hoops.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, that's it.
Two crazy games.
That ended up being a lot more entertaining, that second game last night, than I kind of thought it was going to be. That was a gritty performance by Memphis. And, you know, for a guy who picked the Warriors to go through to the conference finals, they took everything they had to get by Memphis last night.
I wanted to, you know, when the Jimmy Butler thing went down, I think all of us were like, okay, you know, nobody can deny his passion for the game, and his work ethic seems to be through the roof, but there always seems to be drama wherever he goes. Ultimately, this appears to be a very good thing that's worked out well so far for Golden State. Now, what happens, you know, down the line remains to be seen, but as of right now, this seems like it's been a home run for the Warriors.
Well, it has, and it was a home run for Miami in the short term. Like, he's been, you know, wherever he's been fantastic, and especially he doesn't like the idea that there's playoff Jimmy, but he is genuinely one of those guys who just brings more focus, more energy, and then really dials it up in the playoffs and plays to his full potential. And with that, it opens things up for everybody else, just because they need him on both ends. As the secondary shot creator, and we had, 38 last night, but as the guy who can open stuff up for Curry, and then Curry gets his late. But he also just perks up the defense. The energy and IQ he plays with alongside Draymond makes them a much better defensive team.
So last night was not elimination basketball, but tonight is elimination basketball, and we've got the disheveled Dallas Mavericks against, I don't know even what how to describe the Kings at this point, but who has more on the line in this, in terms of being eliminated tonight in this 9-10 matchup?
I think it just looks worse for Dallas because of the trade. Like the Kings, the Kings had to trade their star player. You know, De'Aaron Fox had to get traded at around the deadline, but that was Fox asking out, and they're certainly. You know, look, the Kings may not be the best run organization in the league, but that was forced upon them. The Fox asked out, and his contract coming up, and they were going to have to do something. You know, the wounds in Dallas are self-inflicted. And Nico Harrison doubled down on him yesterday, guys. Yeah. You saw, he's like, I have no regrets. This was defense wins championships, and preached it all, and he has been unlucky in terms of injuries. You know, what would this team look like with Kyrie and Anthony Davis healthy? But man, they got 6 years older and worse. I don't see how that was going to go well. So I got a feeling if they are eliminated tonight, and I think I probably will be. That's a Kings team for all its flaws, man. They still got. Zach LaVine puts up points. DeMar DeRozan puts up points. They will be home. They will be energized. It just puts more pressure on Dallas to find a way to win back the fans.
Well, and Nico, and first off, if you're going to make a trade like this and you're going to anger an entire fan base, you better have the guts to stand in front of a camera or an audio recorder and have your voice out there. And I think that was kind of a Bush League move on his part to invite select members of the media and not allow cameras or recording devices. And, you just got to own it. You know, we're talking about accountability. And now the comments he made were very abrupt. And he says, yes, look, I think we're going to be a better team for it. I think that defense wins championships. I'd have no regrets. But ultimately, what's the timeline before this may cost him his job?
That's a really good question, because he gets a pass isn't the word I'm looking for, but a little bit of one in that because there's no Kyrie Irving now, not only this season, but pretty much most of next season, he can say his vision never came together because of injuries, because of this fluke thing. And so the opportunity for what he envisioned to happen didn't come together. I don't know how long ownership there can be comfortable with angering the fan base, man. They want to build a new building, somewhere in the Dallas area. They're looking for land that they ideally someday would like to. I mean, what they really want to do, they're casino magnates. They would like to build a casino in Dallas with a arena attached. The problem there is there's no gambling in Texas thing right now. No sports betting, no legalized gambling, but they are trying to push that a little bit. It's not going to happen under current leadership there. But anyway, the point being, like, if you're going to do all these grand plans, man, you can't anger the fan base. And at some point, it's just a business decision that you have to move on from Nico Harrison and bring someone else in.
Do you think Luka Doncic winning a championship expedites it? Like, let's say the Lakers run and beat Boston in the finals. How quick is it?
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if they do it this season, but yeah, that kind of would do it. I mean, that would be the final nail in the coffin, and the only question would be when at that point. I don't know if ownership would want to be as blatant as like, wow, that went poorly, let's just fire him now, because that would imply you should have done it a while ago. But yeah, that would absolutely expedite things. That would, if the Lakers made that run, and remember, Doncic led them to the finals last year.
Yep.
Like it's hard to make that case. Yeah, like it'd be a lot of trouble for them.
Well, one thing I try to do, Kurt, I try to identify the most desperate, most driven individual that is going to really push in the postseason. And I like to circle that team and say, all right, I think this team's got a really good shot. And I'm curious, from your angle, for as long as you've covered Luka, how driven do you think he is right now? How ticked off and how specialized do you believe he is? And can he do it again?
First off, I think he's incredibly motivated, not just because the trade shocked him, but the post-trade spin. He's just not in condition. He is just not committed to, the winning and the culture and putting work in on his body and all this stuff. That lights a fire under a guy, and I think you're going to see him be able to push the Lakers. I mean, how far remains the question this year, only because the West is brutal, and they're going to get Houston, or my prediction, they'll get Golden State in the second round. I mean, that's a tough battle. But I don't know that there's anybody. I mean, there's maybe guys more at a crossroads because we know where he's going to be. But he's fired up, and I think this carries over to next year. I think the bigger concern is that Rob Pelinka gets to spend a summer putting together a roster that better fits around Luka and LeBron, and they make a serious run next year.
Kurt Helin joining us, NBC Sports, ProBasketballTalk.com. Kurt, we are running a promotion here on we're honest. It's a charitable event is what we're doing here on The Zone.
Okay.
Where Primary Children's Hospital, incredible hospital here locally, does a lot of work. We're asking listeners to donate $2 to Primary Children's. They can go on our website, KSLSports.com, and donate $2. And the reason that we chose the number 2, that's not important. But we're just trying to create some good karma for the Utah Jazz coming up May 12th in their hopes of securing the number 1 overall pick. It's a 2-for-1, if you will.
It's karma, Kurt.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get some good vibes out there in the universe. But at the end of the day, it's still 14%. So worst case scenario, the Jazz pick at number 5. That's as far as they can possibly drop. Right. What's the likelihood at 5 snagging a player that could really be a difference maker for the Jazz?
There's still real talent there. Look, the top 4 are kind of locked in. We know who the top 4 picks are going to be. It's going to be Flagg, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, and VJ Edgecombe in probably that order, but in some order. The 5th spot is where it gets interesting because that's where the tier ends, and there's a lot of guys at the next. Like, who do you like at the next level? Where do you want them? And the advantage to that is there are guys in that group that have real high upside. There's real potential there. And you don't have to just, look, man, you got to take the best guy on the board. You got to take, if you're drafting fifth, who do you have ranked highest? Who do you think can be the best player of the guys there in 5 years? And there's some guys, some real athletic guys with real potential, on that board, the Derek Queens of the world and stuff, where you're like, man, if they live up to what they can do, this guy can really do something in the NBA. So I think you still get a real chance at that point to land somebody good. But the guys above them, outside of Bailey, the floor is just higher.
This new draft process and the way it's been reorganized, the worst record hasn't gotten the number one overall pick in the history of this reorganization. So, everything is by chance. But I do want to see if you can kind of calm my nerves a little bit, Kurt. It is all random, right? It is all by chance, right?
Yes. As much as it doesn't feel like it sometimes, right? Like, Wemby, even as recently as Wemby ending up in San Antonio, where he wanted to be, where, with the French connection with Tony Parker, it is random. I have not been in the room. I know a lot of people who have been in reporters. They bring in a certain number into the room, and it's airtight and it's random. It just doesn't feel that way sometimes. So the odds keep breaking for teams. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's a better story though. Utah's a team that kind of, like, how should I put this, deserves the opportunity. Are we really going to give the Pelicans another shot?
No.
Please no.
Yeah. So, yeah, although they'll be trading Zion either way. So,
So that's actually my next question. What's the market for Zion Williamson?
It's out there. There is genuine interest from teams for two reasons, but there's genuine interest from teams on the lower end of the playoff scale who are like, man, where do we get the star? Where do we get the one guy we need who can put this thing over the top? Because we've got a lot of quality role players, but where's our star? When Zion plays, especially, look, he was all NBA. He looked like an all NBA player for the 30 games he played this year. But when he plays, he's still excellent.
Yeah.
And still physically dominant and hard to stop. But I think so there's teams that are just like, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth the risk, because how else are we going to get even a shot at a player like that? And the other part of it is, remember, his contract has all sorts of outs for the team if he doesn't make goals, weight goals, which was kind of the most popular thing, but also games played goals. The Pelicans could, in theory, right now, walk away. They could invalidate his contract and walk away. They're not going to do it because that's not smart asset use, right? Like they could at least trade him for something. And I will tell you, the buzz out of the Joe Dumars hiring that became official today is he resigns / keeps Willie Green as coach, and Zion's gone.
Interesting.
Wow. Were you surprised with the Budenholzer news? And then I'm just curious, how long until they announce the hiring of Donnie Nelson?
Donnie Nelson would be great, wouldn't it? I interviewed him. It was a post-game scrum, and then I'd stayed and had worked out something where I had to ask him a couple. This was years ago, and I had to ask him a couple questions about another story I was doing. And he says, gets to the end of the question. The assistant is standing there with like this backpack on, and he gets to the end of it, and it's like, is that it then? We're good? Yeah, we're good. He looks over at the assistant and goes, where's my beer? Guy reaches into the backpack, just whips out the beer and hands it to him. And I'm like, that's the way to go.
That's
just like
it's a guy that's got a whole plan.
Well, if you were going to do that interview now, you'd probably get a contact high because.
Well, that's very true. My writing would be more creative, at least. No, it was not a surprise to see Budenholzer gone, but I'm really curious where they go. They've gone to two veterans in a row with Budenholzer and Frank Vogel. Yeah. Are they going to bring in just a top assistant and give somebody a chance? That team, they're going to trade Kevin Durant. They're going to try to trade Bradley Beal. They're going to rework this roster around Devin Booker. They won't trade him this summer. But guys, how much better are they going to get? I mean, how much – we talk about Zion, market for Zion, which is out there, and they're going to get a decent haul back, although not a superstar haul back. I kind of think it's the same with Kevin Durant. As great as he is as an all-time player, he is 37 and has an injury history, and I'm curious how much they're really going to be able to get back in that deal.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Achilles, you got the age, you got everything else that comes along with him.
He's still a bucket.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. And that's why, a lot of teams point to a lot of people point to Houston, figuring, hey, if they flame out and they're just not flame out, but lose out, and they're like, man, we just need a star. He can be a bridge to that, maybe. But I don't know how much I want to pay him. He wants to get paid for 2 more seasons, and I don't know. He also brings, man, he's got rings. He is one of the all-time, he's a top 20 player all-time or top 15 or wherever you want to rank him. It's an interesting mix.
Could you see the Jazz getting in the sweepstakes for either Zion or Durant?
Not Durant. Zion really isn't the right timeline, but I would kick the tires to see if I could get a steal of a deal. If it's cheap enough, I'd consider it, just because, again, the upside, if you could actually keep him healthy, is amazing. But, I would have to have an incredibly team-friendly deal to consider it.
Well, hopefully on Zion's exit, they make fun of his weight, and that being the reason that he's leaving, so then he'll get ticked off. And wherever he lands, he'll be reorganized like Luka.
He actually, to his credit, I think this season was the thinnest and best shape I've seen him in. It just didn't stop the injuries. So,
what's the market for Bradley Beal? I just did I thought he was older. He's only 31. I mean, which is it is getting up there in NBA years, but but he's just never a winner, and so he's been stuck on bad teams. I don't know what kind of a locker room presence he helps you out with. Is there any market for him?
They're going to have to attach a pick to that probably. Because of it. And the real challenge, of course, is, as you guys know, everyone listens, he's got a no trade clause.
Yeah.
He has complete and total control over the process. He has to go somewhere he wants to go. But my guess is that they will find somebody who's, like you said, he's not that much older, and he's not really worked as the third banana role. But if I'm, again, a middling playoff team looking for a scoring punch,
might not be a bad idea.
A shot. Yeah. He can still go get, again, he can still score. If you put him in, he may not be the most efficient guy. He may not be able to lead you to a championship. But if you just need somebody who can go get you some buckets, he might be the guy.
Yeah.
Hey, how sticky did this Ja Morant thing get, where he's shooting the finger guns and then throwing grenades? Did that get sticky?
Yeah, it's getting sticky. I'm at, as you guys, I told you guys, last weekend I was at Nike Hoop Summit, best high school kids in the nation. And one of the kids that was going off for the world team, men that was going off for the world team, and he's going to, off the top of my head, I want to say Baylor next year. He did the grenade celebration after making a three, and we're all like, oh, did he really just – and I was literally sitting courtside next to Ben from the Washington Post, and I'm like – we looked at each other like, did he just really do that? So you can find Ben Golliver's his social media. He thought he'll do that again, and he was on it and recorded it and posted it. But, yeah, it's sticky. It's a messy – that is not a place the league wants to be. It's the finger gun celebration was something guys were doing, but then Ja kind of – A, has a history, B, pointed it at the other bench, and that just didn't quite sit as well. And now I think you're going to see off-season, some restrictions come in for everybody.
For everybody. But it's for Ja. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But no, we're not talking about anybody in particular.
We started trying to go down a road, guys, of, all right, if when the league bans the grenade, what's the next weapon you go to? It's like, is he digging a World War II trench and then climbing in it.
It's got a samurai
World
sword.
War I trench, I should say.
Throwing a gas mask over.
Yeah, exactly. Or some sort of World War II, loading a bazooka thing. Like, I don't know what the next step is.
It'll be something. He's got a point to prove he tried to prove some point.
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
Kurt, you're the best, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time, and we'll do it again next week.
Love these conversations.
Anytime, guys. Go do something real basketball and have a plate of spaghetti tonight.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
There he is. Kurt Helin, NBC Sports, ProBasketballTalk.com right here on The Zone.